Hey guys, welcome back to the 8th video of the Python Tutorials for Beginners series. In this video, we'll be covering string processing. So in a previous video on variables and data types, one of the data types we talked about is strings. We declare strings by using a pair of double quotes over here, and you can put in whatever you like within the double quotes, except double quotes itself. So over here, if I have double quotes, that means this is an invalid string because the string starts here, ends over here, and this is outside the string, so we'll get an error. To ensure that the strings are enclosed in double quotes, so over here I have two variables, string and string2, and both of them are welcome to Python programming. However, they are both different strings because string has capital letters, whereas string2 is completely lowercase. Alright, so these are two completely different strings, and over here I've printed out string, and you can see that in the terminal it has printed out welcome to Python programming. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the plus operator. So let's use the plus operator. So what the plus operator does is it performs string concatenation. So over here we see that we have string and then string2 over here. So what the plus operator does is that it basically joins string and string2 together, and our output is over here. So yeah, plus can be used for adding numbers together, and it can also be used to concatenate strings. So that's the plus operator. So next let's talk about the equal operator. Let me make a new string called string3, and let me use the equality operator. So over here we are checking if string and string2 are equal, and you need to ensure that this will only return true if all the characters in string is equal to string2. So this is obviously not the case because we have capital letters over here and we have lowercase letters over here. So this should return false. You can see that we get false. Let's see if string3 is equal to string. So in this case, all the characters are the same. All of them are lowercase, and both of them say welcome to Python programming, welcome to Python programming. So you can see that we get true in the terminal. So that's the equality operator. So now I have a few more functions that I would like to show you in this tutorial. Remember that there are many more functions for string processing, and I'll put a link in the description that will show you documentation where you can read through all the functions that you can use. These are the functions that are most commonly used in string processing. So yeah, I'll be going through these. So first is len. So to use len, you can simply type len string. What len does is that it gives you the length of the string. So in this case, string has 29 characters. This includes spaces. Alright. So if I add, let's say, 2 spaces and run the code again, I get 31 characters. Alright. So that's the length operator. Next, let's talk about the dot strip function. So what the dot strip function does is, let's say I put a bunch of spaces on both sides of string2. Alright, so what dot strip does is that it removes the spaces on both sides of the string. To use the dot strip, you simply have to type in string2 dot strip, and then don't forget the brackets. Now let's run the code. You can see that it has removed the spaces over here. Let's first try without the strip. So you see that there are spaces here if I don't use the strip function, and if I put in the strip function, you can see that I don't have any spaces on both sides of the string. So if you're, let's say, taking user input and the user accidentally types in extra spaces, then the strip function will remove the spaces on both sides of the string so that you can you can process the string a little easier in your code. So that's the dot strip operator. So next we'll talk about dot lower. Let me use string for this one, and you just have to replace strip with lower. Run the code. So what this does is that it takes the capital letters and it converts it to lowercase. So your string won't have any uppercase letters, it will only have lowercase letters. So in this case we have welcome to Python programming in lowercase. So that's what dot lower does. If I replace this with dot upper, all the letters are converted to uppercase. So you can see over here that all of them are uppercase. Next, let's talk about replace. So dot replace brackets, and in the brackets we need to put in two arguments. The first argument is, so let me just show you an example, m and dot dot. All right, and let me use string 2 and let me take off the spaces. So what happens over here is that the replace function, it looks for the letter m in string 2. So over here welcome has a m over here, so it looks for the letter m and it replaces m with two full stops. So over here you can see that we have the m is replaced with two full stops, and then there are also m's in programming. There are in fact two m's, so these two m's are replaced with four full stops because one m is converted into two full stops. So you can see I have two over here for one m and I have two full stops for another m. Let's use underscore to see it better. So over here you can see that it looks like I have to fill in the blanks. So welcome, I have to put in an m here, and then programming I have to put in two m's. So that's how the dot replace function works. Finally, let's talk about the dot split function. So simply type dot split. Remember that you have to have the string and then dot split double quotes space, and let me just run the code. So what the dot split function does is that it takes a string and separates it. All right, so it separates it at the space. So whatever you put over here will separate it from there. So there's a space here, so it's separated over here. So you end up with welcome, then to Python programming. Now this is in a list. This is called a list, and I'll be going through lists in the very next video. But yeah, just remember that the dot split function can allow you to break up sentences into a list of words, and then you can use the list of words to process your string further. So that's the dot split function. You can also replace this with something like m, or let's use o. All right, so over here I break up my string using o's. So over here I have a o, so I have WELC in the first string in the list, then I have ME space T, all right, and yeah, so on. So basically your string is cut up at the position of the letter O, and remember that your list doesn't contain any letters O. All right, all the letter O's are removed. So yeah, that's about it for this video on string processing. If you like this video, then please consider giving a like and subscribe. And remember that I'll be providing a link in the description that will send you to some Python documentation that will show you extra methods on Python on string processing. So do check it out because some of the functions are quite useful there. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.